Hey! So, I've been feeling a little retrospective lately. Maybe it has something to do with the yearning for the greener pastures of the past, because the future is very...
The future is shit.
So the only thing that I want to do is take a look at the last era of the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and I have split them up into a... well, I guess you could call it a numbered list. Demarcated by the different versions of... because that was a lot more topical when I drafted this idea 2 years ago.
Today's show. Yeah.
Definition of era. So what exactly do I mean when I say the last era of KH? Well, we all know that up to and including 3, every Kingdom Hearts game has been a part of the Dark Seeker Saga, and it has only recently been confirmed that we are now in the Lost Master arc. But much in the way of the MCU, which Nomura seems to be heavily influenced by, if the KH 2020 video had anything to say about it, each arc or saga could be broken down even further into what the equivalent of an MCU phase is, which just makes it all the more confusing because Nomura called it the Lost Masters arc, the next phase of KH.
Saga. Era.
Arc. Phase.
Would love to have some consistency, but he's Nomura. These groupings were all released very close to each other, and because of that, all have a very particular feel to them. A feel that puts them in their respective groups in my mind. And because I wanted to be fresh and different, I decided to call them eras. But you can call them something else, I guess, if you want. Why don't you try sticking your neck out, huh? You try making YouTube videos. See how long it takes you. Era 1. Yes, I think Kingdom Hearts 1 is impactful enough to be the only thing in Era 1. Actually, now that sounds too lackluster. Let's instead call it the first era. Now we're prestigious. I split 1 off into its own category because it is just so unlike any of the other games in the entire series. Its KH feel is in its own competition. The vibes are unmatched. And because this game was such an experiment and nobody really knew if it was going to take off, I feel like it is entirely separate from the second era. The sequel era. This era includes the original Chain of Memories, 2, and Rechain of Memories. And this might be one of the most controversial groups, but I'm going to explain why both Chains of Memories are here when there could be arguments made for other eras for them. COM, even though it was released only a year after KH1, has more to do with its sister sequels because, once again, Kingdom Hearts was such a big gamble, Square actually putting their chips down and making any sequel to this wacky and wonderful series was a big commitment. And because Nomura can never do anything just part way, he will either succeed wonderfully or fail spectacularly. And I do respect him for it. And since he made the decision to make sequels, he went 110% in, and we are still having them 20 plus years later. And COM was the start of that, starting to make this story this sprawling, ever-expanding, 2, of course, fits squarely into the second era, and that's good because numbers. And although Recom is the first game produced by the Osaka team, which may give it a closer connotation with the next era for some, I chose to put it here because it is a remake of a sequel era game, and it was originally released in Japan as a package with KH2FM. So I think it belongs here more than anywhere else. And also because that would put way too many games in the next era, because most KH games are in the spin-off era. Of course, there's really no such thing as a spin-off, i.e. inconsequential KH game, but spin-off gives this era the kind of freedom that it needs. The spin-off era was the most experimental of the saga. The team tried all different kinds of gaming platforms and gameplay styles, even Disney properties to adapt, and they all sold it with that particularly Osaka team brand flair. The spin-off era consists of 358 over 2 days, Birth by Sleep, Coded and Recoded, and Dream Drop Distance. And now we have come to the final era of the Dark Seeker Saga, the 3 era. It makes no fucking sense. It's the 4th era, and it doesn't follow the naming conventions of the other 3, but you know what? That's Kingdom Hearts. Because this era really is all about 3. What I really like about this era is because it was built around such a highly anticipated title, the KH team in their infinite wisdom knew that we would need build-up, the event, and then some cooldown titles to recover. And my favorite thing about this is that it kind of creates a perfect plot diagram, with 0.2 being the exposition, 3 being the rising tension and climax, Remind being the falling action, and Melody of Memory being the resolution or denouement. Was really excited to learn what the fuck Marluxia was talking about when we learned about this in 8th grade English. I know that Nomura has made the executive decision to call both Remind and Mom a part of the LMA. Oh. But if we wanted to go back to the MCU inspiration, Feige has stated that Phase 4 is called the Multiverse Saga. Even though it is still very much dealing with the fallout of Thanos and Endgame, much in the same way that Remind and Melody of Memory were with Xehanort and 3. Oh my god, both of these phases / eras both had a title named MOM, in which they both assassinated the character of a female heroine with red hair. Oh my god, twinsies! I am still at this point grouping them in the 3 era because that's just where they sit for me. I might reevaluate after some more games in the arc come out, but as it stands, they're still stuck here like this for me. So let us actually begin with these individual retrospectives of the 3 era of Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 0.2. I am 0.2 cool for you. Oh. So I think 0.2 is an ingenious little installment. Not only is it so smart to split off the work that's already been done just to make your profit margins wider, but it's also a stealth demo for your next big installment, where you're getting not only free, but people are paying you to play test your game. And you can give feedback on anything from gameplay to lighting. Oh, fuck! And if you were there, you'll know that this was Nomura having his Birth by Sleep Volume 2 and eating it 0.2. Still holding out for Kairi investigating the old mansion with Hayner Pence and Olette though. One of the best parts of this game as a demo is how they introduced us to the gameplay mechanics of 3 without overloading us with the multiplicity of options that ended up being in the full game. We only get base combos, sparkle movement, grand tier magic, which works so well for Aqua thematically because she's the magic gal, and we also get great implementations of mechanics from past games like the platforming puzzles from KH1, rail grinding from DDD, and the shot locks from BBS, all of which return in a bigger and badder way in KH3. And speaking of things that this title got from previous installments, the KH1-esque doomerism and wonder came back. Sometimes they are two sides of the same coin. 0.2's atmosphere, while terrifying in its vastness and seemingly unbeatable odds, still opens us up to a new part of the KH universe that we haven't seen much of before. The realm of darkness is scary and unknowable. And that's so enticing. How poetic that, even if you can become a master, the worlds can still throw something at you that makes you feel like a lost child, flung from your home. I also want to take the time to, much in the way the game does, bask in Aqua's dog waiting for his owner, cat curled up in her nook monologue. It's so good. A pause for reflection, all that we've lost, actually seeing the losses of the average non-main character people around us. Mwah. And I find this really interesting because it's one of only 3 times that a character's inner monologue has ever been expressed in the entire series. And the only good one! Sorry, Japanese simple and clean, but I don't need to hear Kairi's inner thoughts to get what's going on here. And that's what made this scene so effective, because we were actually able to slow down and sit with the character. And that's what makes 0.2 as a title so successful, because people just liked being around Aqua for a bit. When a series has been around as long as the KH series has, people kind of just want to hang out in the universe. And if Square had any plural brain cells to rub together, they would have been putting out these 4-hour character-motivated experiences for the fandom to gobble up. The KH cast is so vast, and yet every single character is somebody's fave. I don't like the man, but I do have to hand it to him. They could be making so much bank, and we could be getting such cool character work if they would just invest in episode Kairi, episode Roxas, Naminé, Shion, Ienzo. Every single character has a dedicated fan base that would buy up their titles, start making them. Except maybe Alias. But you see, if you would just flesh Rem out, Ree would have a lot more fans. I headcanon Alias as a non-binary person who uses neo-pronouns. How do we feel about a Reaver? Azazer, maybe? Let's talk about it.
Death to all of them.
Oh God. However, because of the length of this title, there's really not much else to say about it. It was very cool while it lasted, but I'm also kind of happy that it left us wanting more. In the end, 0.2 tells us that you can be short and sweet while also ruining the continuity of your long-running series in the service of a mouse's free the nip policy. No shirt, no shoes. Game on. Hearts 3. Oh boy. What else is there to say about Kingdom Hearts 3? The most discoursed title in the series. Maybe something actually intelligent for once? Did you all want to try that? Did you know you could do that? No, you could have thoughts, and they could be good. Over the years since its release, dear God, it's been years. I feel as though I've pretty effectively stayed out of the KH3 good, KH3 bad wars. Not only because I'm a well-adjusted person who doesn't get into fights over video games on the internet. Find a real fucking problem, sweaty. We've got plenty of them. But also because every time I've thought of what I could possibly say to add to the conversation, the only thing I would come up with is, processing. I'm still processing. I'm still processing. And I guess if I've been feeling that way for 5 years now, I guess that means I kind of don't like it. There's of course the standard review I have for every KH game and presumably every future release on and into infinity, that 90% of the game is great and makes me feel like life is worth living. But then they make one wrong decision and fumble everything at the 10-yard mark. You see this side pony? I know sports. And the metric system. Somehow, somewhere, the KH writers caught a bad case of I don't know how to pay off my shit. And they did so at the exact worst time, right before the conclusion to an arc. Saga, shit. But let's back up and be positive. Be positive, right? We could all use a little bit more of that. Let's go world by world. Olympus. What a fantastic decision to make the tutorial world a Disney world. The urgency? The urgency!
Oh, now we gotta go?
And the dialogue here is the tightest in the game, if not the entire series. And that might be because the Hercules IP just has a certain kind of flow that they emulated very well here. Or I think because this is the first world, they had the most development time to spend on it. On top of the fact that Sora, Donald, and Goofy already have a rapport with Hercules and the like, and they're just ready to go boom, boom, boom. Also going boom, boom, boom up the mountain, hitting all the points of a satisfying ascent, getting well acquainted with the movement of the game while being totally cinematic. That transition from day to stormy night is still just so freaking cool. Because all transitions are cool. That's just like the point of the transition. Culminating in the ethereal release of breaking through the boulders into Olympus. Why did I write it like that? Ew. Ew. And thank Zeus? Maybe I should go give him a lamb or something later. That we got a location other than the 3 rooms in the Colosseum. For years, entry after entry, Olympus has been scorned, put down, looked over, bullied. Oh, she's got the barrels and the 2 rooms and the invisible NPCs for not having an interesting environment. And look at her now. If Neverland is the fashionista iconique, then Olympus must be the homely younger sister that finally got a makeover.
Gentlemen, may I present to you the new and improved
Olympus.
You wear those shoes and I will wear that dress. Oh, kiss me beneath the milky twilight.
Dude's in trouble.
Oh god.
He's having spasms.
Twilight Town. Oh baby, what have they done to you? Twilight Town got swole, but skipped leg day. I guess that's the metaphor we're going with. Applying human beauty standards to fictional locations. You're looking a little pudgy, Zootopia. Buy me a new fridge. I'm stalling because I don't have like a lot to say. Upgrade. Looks beautiful. Looks gorgeous. Remy's restaurant expansion. I like it. It's good. I wonder how Axel, Roxas, and Xion feel about like Remy bulldozing over a traumatic location for them. Don't. There's a lot of stuff here you can knock over. Love the NPCs. Love that for us. Except for the skateboarding is passe guy. Okay. He can meet me out in the woods. And I'm gonna leave him there. He's gonna stay in the woods. Afterwards. After I'm done with him, he's gonna stay in the woods. I'm going to leave him in the woods. Interactivity? Give me back my hole!
Hey, you made me a believer.
Toybox. Nomura said he couldn't possibly have made Kingdom Hearts 3 without the inclusion of the Toy Story property because he needed them to sell Yozora. Surely sacrificing the best thing about the longest project that you've ever been attached to isn't worth the spite. Right? That's a foreshadowing. Don't forget about foreshadowing here. This is all conjecture. I'm sure that quote is more about Nomura wanting to include Pixar IPs than about including his ill-fated reimagination. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, if you mess with Kingdom Hearts' sincerity, you mess with it actually working. The day KH goes full meta is the day it stops being fun. And in fact, I think they were not successful with what they did in Galaxy Toys. Having Dissidia, a series that includes characters within the KH universe that have different backstories and different inner lives, exist as a video game, is too much for my fragile psyche to bear. But I can't ignore it because it's just a visual thing and it's not acknowledged in any text or voice line, and I can chalk it up to corporate meddling. So that's easy enough to ignore. But there's still the looming threat of the apocalypse, and his name is
Beelzebub, Asmodeus, Satanas, Lucifer.
What are you gonna do? What do you want from me? What wig should I wear? Am I gonna cry? Oh! I guess it's an inspired choice to have Sora, Donald, and Goofy be toys, because then you can sell the action figures. Splitting the world into two was a great explanation for not having to include the B-list Toy Story cast. It's just a shame that the top tier just so happens to not include any of the women. But I get it, it saves on a lot of things. A lot of things. Animation cut? What the fuck does this mean? Hello? Hello? What did you mean by that? I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. But even just makes sure that this screen isn't looking too crowded. I swear to God, I have points sometimes. And not having to deal with the real people of the world probably saved them on a lot of headaches. I can't think of a way to make it work, so kudos to them for saying, you know what? Let's just not do it at all. The character interpretations of both Buzz and Woody are really good here, and it's because they got the Pixar team to work so closely with the KH team. Buzz's whole arc makes sense for his character, works into the broader story of the game, and has built up stakes and impact. Buzz Lightyear had an arc in a Kingdom Hearts game. You know what would be really funny is if he didn't in Lightyear. I don't know, you tell me if the joke is true. I'm not gonna watch that movie. And since the KH fandom only has like 3 jokes between all of us, I'm mentioning Woody's line to young Xehanort. I'm cashing in. Ka-chow. You know, I think I enjoy movement the most in this level. The Gigas just add that little extra element, and the scaling on everything is just so impressive. Galaxy Toys would already be a massive environment for a full-size person, but exploring it at 6 inches tall is entirely different, and I'm glad that they gave us a lot of tricks to play around with to get around. If you want to talk about scale, I could talk to you all day about the Boston Children's Museum, which if you didn't know is a warehouse they converted into like 15 different playgrounds. Do you remember being a kid and going to places that were scaled for your stature? Oh, it was just the coolest thing. I'll never forgive them for taking away Mickey and Minnie's house and world. Where did they go? I want them. I'll take them. Give them to me.
A fairy tale king.
I'm not gonna steal Pat's joke. Oh. That's how I feel about this world. I think it's the most beautiful and it's my most favoriteest in all the series. Dynamicism. Get you a girl that can do both. What would you call a girl that is both floral and goth? That's the Persephone complex. This world just has the best, most calming, most peaceful environment ever. And I don't think that was ever lost on the developers because this is the world that has the most interactive environment. And they make you go to every corner. They said, we know you want to be best friends with Rapunzel, and we're gonna make that happen for you. Congratulations. You're welcome. I know. They gave Sora a crouching walk cycle that's not seen anywhere else in the game. I wish they had more of this going on in the parks. Like ye olde days of Disneyland and Tokyo Disneyland now. Cause she's always better than you. to make it feel more like the characters lived there and you were a guest in their house, not like a peasant holding court with the aristocracy. Pay the $20 every time your childhood trauma is lessened, else you get the line. I love Splashy Splashy, Haha Dandelions, Budwalks, Swingy Hill, and Big Hill. Big Hill, Big Hill, Big Hill. Big Hill is special. Big Hill is home. I want to die on Big Hill. The town's great too. Love to see some population. The dancing minigame is inspired.
If you do the cooking by the book, then you'll have a
But I kind of like the marsh out of everything. This little grotto where you swim and collect ingredients make my brain go brr. I love atmosphere. I love atmosphere. We're now backtracking up the trail of the world. This is how my brain wanted to organize this. Sorry. Mother Gothel's scene just proves my theory that Sora and Terra are basically just the same person. It's just that Terra's luck attributes are vastly underleveled. Terra just so happens to land in front of the villains for each world, and if Mother Gothel had kept it up for 2 more seconds, she would have been able to weaponize Sora against anyone without even trying. Girl. Speaking of villains manipulating people, what great choices to have Marluxia and Larxene interject in princesses is princesses worlds. And just how perfect is Marluxia for Corona? And Marley being the Mother Gothel to Mother Gothel is just such a funny concept for an org member, and he has that calm vibe even through her death, like, stupid bitch. Along with the fact that he narratively replaces the...
Oh shit, I was looking at the... He got me! I was like, bro. He did the classic, bro. Like, you throw the fucking dodgeball up in the air.
And I fought him. I fought him before. I know.
It's just such an economic use of your runtime for this specific kind of adaptation, and helps build the main conflict outside of this singular world. Oh, and just a couple of notes of what could be better. The orchestration they made to replace I See the Light doesn't quite fit the mark, and if Frozen got 2 songs, why couldn't Tangled have just gotten 1? And the fact that they completely skipped over the Kyrie parallels.
I should have given it to you before, but I was just scared. And the thing is, I'm not scared anymore. You know what I mean?
You know, I was a little afraid at first, but now I'm ready.
Jail. Death penalty. And this scene at the very end of the world is, I'm sorry to report, the only Kingdom Hearts moment that has ever made me cringe. Which I don't like. I don't know what it is. Is it that Sora's never interacted with Maximus before this? Is it Nomura being so inept at romance? It's just cringe. I don't like it. Am I being weird? Tell me if I'm being weird. Am I being strange? Let me know. Let me know in the comments if I'm being weird.
Engage!
Monstropolis. Monstropolis is the most claustrophobic world in 3, with a primarily gray and industrial environment, and it's still more visually interesting than anything Agrabah has been able to produce.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
I like the slidey shooty sections. I like the shooty slidey sections. I like the slidey shooty sections. I like the happy face reminders, and Vanitas was a perfect match for the scary and bad feelings world. But that's kind of it though. A little bit of a letdown that one of the most emotionally charged movies in the Pixar canon, and that's saying a lot, is kind of just left as the funny one in KH. But it might just be because the story here is what happens after this moment. And if you extend this moment any further than what they actually showed in the movie, it kind of just is...
Please clap.
I know I have a lot of run-on sentences. I know I do. Am I gonna change that? No. But I expect a little bit more editing from an entire production. The exploration for the world definitely does make a few of my neuron receptors go burr, but sadly, when you open a new door in Monstropolis, it kind of just takes you to yet another floor of the energy industrial complex. Controversy! Controversy! Controversy!
You know you that bitch when you cause all this conversation.
Nomura was really gagged and gooped that the trailer hype moment, formulated specifically for trailer hype, was more hyped than the inclusion of the highest grossing animated movie of all time. Girl, like my guy. At a certain point, you kind of have to know the thing that you're making. It was really impeccable, the timing that this had. Because it was Frozen was released, was the biggest thing in the world. Let It Go was everywhere. It was a cultural phenomenon. Toddlers worked it to the bone. No paid leave. It was international news.
It feels like there's no end.
And like it stayed, it plateaued at the top. It was in Kingdom Hearts 3, and then whoosh, cultural phenomenon, over. Just in time for the release of Frozen 2. Huh. How did that make more money? The box office is a joke, inflation is out of control, capitalism is collapsing. I have stopped recognizing highest grossing anything since 2020. Cause you can make $1 billion by having only like 5 people see your movie. Once again, has anyone spoken about Avatar 2 since it came out? No, because it has no cultural impact and has fuck all to say about shit. And neither did Frozen 2 because it was a bungled mess of a rushed production that didn't even know what its own climax was gonna be until 7 months before the movie was released. There's a reason why something like Encanto got both radio play and fucking dissertations, because it stuck with people. It made art, it made history, it made a significant statement, it just didn't make as much money. But everyone will remember Encanto's release period. Do you even remember what 2019 was like? What do you think, Bob? Is that enough quality over quantity for you? It's almost like messages are kind of entertaining! Oh, dang it, I keep going on these tangents when I have nothing to talk about. We sure went up and down that mountain. Sora himself was tired of it. Why didn't they just go to the troll lair? It's a nice environment. I can picture Donald standing right there in this scene. It could have broken up some of the monotony of the snow. The snow? There's a reason why people keep believing that this world is bad because Disney kept interfering with it. Because that's at least some explanation. That double entendre. That could be a true statement if you took it outside of the context of like not Arendelle the world, but like the world. This world, more than any in the entire series I would wager, feels the most corporately designed. It is, I want to make sure you're sitting down for this part, the live action remake of Kingdom Hearts Worlds. What is it about Frozen that makes it the most Disney business division out of any of their IPs?
Money, 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 money. We can't keep doing this, Bob.
Capitalism corrupts everything it touches. They felt so cheated by missing Frozen's initial success. Like at the very, very beginning. I'm talking like the first maybe 3 months. That they're never gonna let us forget about it. Ever. this is harsh. I want to take the time here to say that the movement of the game really makes up for any visual homogeny any singular world might have. The movement in 3 is the best it's been in the entire series. There are so many methods to use, and the scale of every world is used to enhance those methods of traversal. And they really did a lot of work in Arendelle. There's a lot of different ways that you can traverse this world, and, you know, going up and down that mountain did feel different each time. It had to, but they pulled out all the stops. It really could have benefited from just one room that wasn't all snow. And guys, don't worry. We've already had a live action Frozen. And it came just 1 year after its release. It was the Once Upon a Time arc. And it was just like its adaptation in KH3. Cold and hollow.
The gentlemen want the rum, don't ya, boys?
The Caribbean. Oh boy. What boy? Oh boy, the Caribbean's really fun. Exploring islands, collecting crabs, the one corner of Sandbar Isle. I've heard the ship play of the world is very similar. That sounded like a sex thing. Ship play. Whoa. Watch out for ship play. I stuck a whole black pearl up my ass. I've heard that the gameplay on the ship is very similar to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but I don't want any more of what I like. You'll never be able to guess what an audience wants, baby, because we don't even know ourselves. I liked the exact length that I was made to play in this one section of the game, and I don't want any more of it. And it was very cool to see the evolutions of the outfits that Sora, Donald, and Goofy get, because they didn't change the first time they came to the Pirates world. And it was very apparent, but now they do. And they look awesome! Which makes the no-code thing in Arendelle all the more weird. Were we in a crunch, you guys? We couldn't do it? And like what everyone says, there is a real disconnect between SDG and the entire rest of the cast in this world because they're not there. It is really noticeable, and it is, choice. Like the fact that the Jack Sparrow that's our party member in this world isn't actually Jack Sparrow, but will instead tonight be played by Tia Dalma. This is weird. Like, this is strange.
What is that? Could it be a knock at the door?
It's my nemesis, Sparrow.
Oh. Hello?
Can she do that for all of Jonathan Depp's roles from now on? I mean, you know, if he gets any more, because he's kind of just a fading star at the end of his career and has made it seemingly his mission to be as unpleasant to work with as possible. Funny how he blamed his lack of work on his ex-wife, though. Funny how he did that. I guess taking it out on her face just wasn't enough. You know how men are. Fuck you, Jonathan Depp. It's always a good time to say, fuck you, Jonathan Depp. Quit pretending to be British, you're from Kentucky. Oh, Sora, we're really in it now. What was I talking about? I know Nomura wanted to adapt at World's End because it was more climactic, and you never really know when you're gonna be able to touch back again with these properties. But if you look at the story of where KH is going, finding Sora and bringing him back to the land of the living, At World's End would have been such a fantastically thematically relevant world for Kairi and Riku to visit now. And we could see their pirate outfits and it would be so nice. And that would mean that SDG would get Dead Man's Chest and they could have done like a big scene with that fucking wheel they had everywhere. Now the only option that they have if they want to come back to the Caribbean is Pirates 5. Oh, I completely forgot about the fourth one. Whoops. Sorry. Sorry. Oh no, which one is it? I think it's Penelope Cruz.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion.
life, cities are fun because they're functional. There's a lot of people in a very compact area, so
Public transportation and walkable spaces
are a necessity. And there's a lot of fun things to do. People like people, and people want to be where the people are and where the jobs are. But, however, I think the thing that the KH team forgot when designing a cityscape in a fictional medium is that just the topography of a city is pretty boring to explore. Ultra-modern, very gray cities are not visually diverse. They're not visually interesting. And in a way, San Francisco suffers a lot from Arundel syndrome of not being visually engaging, either in day or night, and that leads to a lot of it feeling very samey and lacking, which is a real shame for this to happen to the last Disney World, and also because, once again, the source material makes their environment look very dynamic. A mixture of San Francisco, a beautiful town, and Tokyo, a beautiful town. Makes for a really cool idea of what a true multicultural melting pot could be artistically. I think something that they really missed was the hills of San Francisco, which are famous. Like when I say San Fran, I know you're thinking of those Victorian trolleys rolling down those multi-tiered hills. See? Public transportation is important to you. Fund it! And it's a major missed opportunity to not capitalize on that when Big Hero 6's San Francisco did. Aunt Cass's shop is even on one of those hills, and it would be so great to play with the different levels of height the way all the other worlds in 3 did, without solely relying on running up skyscrapers, because not to be spoiled rotten, but we've done that before.
The novelty is kind of wearing off, shish.
That being said though, I do think this world had the most touching story.
I should be the one.
It took the hey, this is actually canon to the movies gimmick from Toy Box and cranked it up to an 11 by letting us, actually interact with the emotional beats from the movie. We got to save the original Baymax, the character we spent our whole first journey with, the last thing that Hero has of Tadashi. And that is amazing, fan-centered payoff, which also canonically places KH3 after Baymax the television show, because there's only one of him still, which means that the trans guy who helped Baymax buy tampons is rocking around somewhere. Good for him, I'm rooting for you. And the entire cast of BH6 interacts so well with K. Oh. I am just now realizing that the initials of Keyblade Hero 3 are KH3. Namora, you sly fox.
Wow, you all really can't read.
These are just some really solidly characterized characters. And when you have a very defined, albeit not very deep character like that, you're just gonna have interactions that are good. And Ryan Potter, the voice of Hero, was so excited to be a part of KH, and you can really hear that color his performance. And that's so cool for Hero to be a little fanboy of Sora, and that's so cool for both him and Sora, and it's so good. And then there's Dark Riku.
Time to hack.
What was he doing here again? Testing to see if data could be corrupted by darkness? Is that what he was doing? Let me know if that ever comes to anything. And also, Maleficent seems to imply that Dark Riku is the darkness she met in Union Cross.
Now, what do you intend to do with me? Keep me trapped here in this data world?
Let me know if that ever comes to anything. And it's so fucking hilarious that so many people, including characters in the game, were so dead set on this Dark Riku being a book.
Time to hack.
This is one of those things that I don't understand why people don't understand. Just like Shion isn't a Kairi, Shion is a Sora. Data Riku isn't Riku, he is the journal. And you know what? Yes, it absolutely absolutely did prove a challenge to the writers themselves that they chose to personify Jiminy's journal as a character that already exists. You have to understand, it was 2010. Italia was all the rage. We were personifying everything. Don't go back. You can't go back. But it's so especially funny to me that basically the entirety of Coded was JJ, that's what we're all gonna call him from now on, having constant interactions of
Riku, we have the data entry into the datascape so that the data doesn't form data sets that data
again,
mine big data
I
from
am
the
not
data structure
recreating,
that
but
processes
Gaul
data
says-
stored in the
people cry about Roxas's story of identity being so sad all of the time, but no one ever acknowledges the journal's identity. And here, it's not even him! And still, this diary can't catch a break! Like I said, I do not feel envious of the writers here. Paying off 20 years of setup is not easy. But surely you must have had ideas that were better than this!
Reputation precedes me. They told you I'm crazy. I swear I don't want to draw my loves me.
I think writing is a lot like visual effects, in that only the worst of it shows itself so plainly that even novices can pick it out. If the writing or the VFX are good, you probably never notice them as you're just so immersed in whatever you're experiencing. If you don't see them, they're doing their job right. And this is a lot different from the criticism of this character is written badly because they're doing something different than what I would have done. Because in many cases, you're saying that from a very privileged location of not having gone through anything that the character has, either in the literal sense of fighting demons and traversing the earth on a grand quest. So sorry to Frodo, but I would never be corrupted by the Winter Ring. Guess I'm just built different. Or in the metaphorical sense of the very human story that the creators are trying to represent through fantastical scenarios. Traum. Literally everything is traum. Aqua, in particular, during this beginning scene of the Badlands, isn't poorly written because she's having a trauma response, and is more poorly written in Remind, where it's extra explained that she's having a trauma response, but I sure did appreciate being talked down to. She's poorly written because you made a fictional character arc that makes no sense on paper, one that's not at all satisfying to the human brain that craves linear conclusions. Everyone here in this scene feels very weak because they are very passively written. And that's because the characters aren't really written here. The circumstance is. And there was no effort put in here to make them even kind of respond like actual people. They are props, just waiting around for their turn to be on screen. This whole scenario is just blocked very poorly. Sometimes you really do need to sit and play in your sandbox with your little figurines to really get the full picture of what your scene is doing. This is a technique that's used a lot in the theater space, consisting of little paper cutouts of what the stage would look like, and it helps directors put actors in places that make sense for their character and what they're doing and saying in any scene. And this is a little more difficult to tackle in a medium that has a lens because it exists in a three-dimensional space of any distance you'd like, and if you don't want to show what a character is doing at that particular second, you could always turn the frame away from them. But that doesn't mean that an audience or a director should forget that they're there. The scene where Kairi jumps in to fight Xemnas in the middle of Remind was such an earth-shattering moment. Yeah! 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 Because that was the first time in the series where I had a mental count of who was in a scene and where they were and what they were doing when they were not the focus of the frame.
And Kairi is just standing, and Kairi is,
and the game actually had an answer to my question. It still kind of has the awkward stiltedness of, you know, the generic movie convention of there's like 15 goons versus this one guy, but they all fight him one-on-one, even though they could easily overpower them if they would just work together. But you don't think about that convention as it's happening in good movies, because we go along with the understanding that if that were to happen, the movie would be over. And it's actually quite strange that Kingdom Hearts has this stiltedness for the sake of their villains. I think they wrote these scenes from the perspective of the wrong group of people. Like this is Terranort's hallway scene. And this is because from the onset, this is where that prophecy was put. So they had to work backwards from Terranort kills everyone. Why they chose to do that here, at the beginning of the world, and not, a climactic clash with Xehanort himself, which you think would probably be a grand enough moment kind of required of a whole ass prophecy. And the fact that Terranort's motivation to kill them makes no fucking sense, and also goes against everything that they've been saying for the whole game.
But fear not. The Keyblade will still be forged.
Sure, Jan.
Just demonstrates to me that the writers didn't want to actually do the whole prophecy thing by the time they got to this part. Then why would you create it in the game directly preceding this one? Also, something I guess I'll be screaming into the void on repeat because nobody wants to fight me for it, cowards! I don't believe that world lines mean the same thing as our outside definition of timelines, because that means that there is a timeline out there that exists where Kairi literally does nothing and then dies. And it also makes no sense because the Kairi in particular from the second world line of the Badlands is a continuation of the first one, because she's the only one that never died. She held that shit down. The second world line Kairi et al. Could not exist without the first. So I think what we all need to do is that we all need to come together and realize that this was just a bad choice. And we should all ignore it moving forward. Strike it from the record.
Where did you get a gavel?
So moving on, I like the gauntlet of multiple boss fights back to back, especially because these are now well-defined and well-beloved characters by this point, blah-de-blah-de-blah. I've already kind of talked about this in other videos, and I don't really like repeating myself because I have to find a new and entertaining way of saying it this time, but I don't really think I have it in.
Cut it out! I've never been so disrespected in all of my life.
To check out some of
We're
the
about
previous
to.
points, you could always
If you're gonna keep doing this, I'm gonna. What?
I was just upset because my wishes weren't being heard.
Me? Not paying attention to your wishes. That's very funny.
Mr. McMahon, we have a problem, Mouse.
Have a problem?
What do you, Mr. McMahon, we have a problem. They're here, they're in the parking lot.
You stay here! You stay here with Stephanie! You take me to him! Take me to the son of a bitch! Take me to him! Come on! Go, 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 go! Go, 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 go! Where's the son of a bitch? Where is he? Where are they? God, where?
Remember that thing I said about when the writing is bad? You see it a lot more. Well, I'm really seeing all the strings around the worst fucking moment in the entire series. This is the most the characters have ever been disrespected, have ever been treated solely as props. Kairi is not even a prop here. She is a tool at best. And how dare you make me quote Ansem trigger warning. I can see the pen strokes as they try to make a moment that will just get them from point A to point B in the clumsiest and least interesting way possible. It's just like it doesn't matter to them. And I cannot imagine working on something for 20 years for Nomura, almost half of his life and most of his professional career, and just not fucking giving a shit. This is just like a horrible scenario from the get. From Sora having to pause himself mid-action to explain with his words to Riku and Mickey the scenario that they've been haphazardly tossed into.
Riku, exposition!
We should not have to do this at this point.
From Kairi not even being conscious, so we don't get the heightened drama of seeing the fight, the panic, the blow, and the devastation of the person that this is affecting the most. Pop quiz, who is Kairi's death affecting the most? It's not Sora, sweetie. To the fact that a major character death is shown to only affect just one other fucking person? This is supposed to be the climax of the entire Dark Seeker Saga. This is the moment that Xehanort's evil plan is fulfilled, the thing that we've been dreading and fighting against tooth and nail for the entire series. This is the moment that he takes his final step into pure, unadulterated, unforgivable evil, and he does so by killing a main character, one that we've known since the very first few minutes of the series, and she is also one of the final bastions of safety that the entire universe has, and we are all now doomed now that we have taken this unbearable blow. And nobody gives a shit! I feel like I'm going insane! I feel like I'm taking crazy pills! And you come to me. You come to me with Shion being able to sense Kairi's heart somewhere out in the ether. Shut the fuck up! No! I say no to this! And you know what? Actually, no! This does make me mad enough that I am going to go down the entire list. Out of every single person in the room here, nobody should be having to tell Sora a telepathic message from Kairi, because he has the closest metaphysical relationship with her, as evidenced by the fact that she only exists as a character to give him something to do.
It's just one of those days!
But if we were to have any other person here give Sora that message, reaching out through magic to communicate directly with her heart so that they may give us an update on her condition, it should be Roxas. Because he's done that before. Why do I know more about your creation than you do? I can make up all over this paper, man. I think second place would probably be a little bit more of a tie because Riku and Kairi just have such a deep bond. Or they're supposed to! However, that kind of bond has never really been expressed in any kind of magical or metaphysical way. But I would have to assume that knowing each other from the time that you were in preschool would maybe give you a bit of an edge on this kind of soul-to-soul communication that we're doing here, especially in this series. And I think Aqua having her distinctive master-to-pupil Keyblade magic puts her really high up on this list, possibly even edging out Riku by like half of a place. Sorry, Sweaty, maybe do better next time. If Xehanort can project his voice directly into Terra's head after only kind of being his master, I think this can work for her. Although that might have just been really easy considering it's Terra's head we're talking about here. Give the boy a break, it's hard having thoughts. Third place goes to Axel, I guess, because this game wants to demonstrate so badly that Kairi is just the latest of teenagers that this beleaguered millennial has adopted. Get in line, kids. I got dogs to feed. So he's third in line to answer the Kairi heart call.
Pick up the phone!
Fourth place, what an upset. Because it's Ben. Because both he and Kairi were in Sora's heart at the same time for a period, and metaphysical magic heart stuff puts you ahead of people who just have a vague connection. Fifth place, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, because they've at least been in the same room as Kairi before. But hey, at least Shion isn't in dead last. But that's only because she's ahead of Terra, who's never heard Kairi's name.
Do I look like someone that wants to hurt your feelings? Cause I'm not!
But you never know. Terra was there in a way for all of the stuff that Apprentice Xehanort and Ansem Seeker of Darkness and Xemnas did. Oh, I'm sorry. This is all just such a frustrating setup. There are some really stupid and lazy choices that don't show us anything new or different for the medium, get the audience to even connect at all with what should be a very emotional scene, and worst of all, in my opinion, goes directly against the central thesis of the series: care about other people. You wrote a scene where a major character died, and not a single other character seemed to genuinely care. You betrayed your core, Kingdom Hearts. You suck. There's not even really a reason to talk about anything that happens after this moment in the game because its failure hangs over the rest of the piece. Xehanort's multi-tiered boss fight is great. His ending monologue is great. Him being stopped by kindness is great. In a scenario where Kairi's death was handled a lot better, this parting of our final boss of the saga would be good and true to the series, as evidenced by the fact that it's still pretty good in its current iteration. But as it is, there is a looming puzzle piece out of place. And the ending is not able to escape its severely underwritten shadow. Kingdom Hearts 3 died with Kairi's death.
Just tell the DJ press play, rewind, keep it on repeat. Tiptoe around the head, all light on my feet. That's how you do it, keep time on your enemies. Good vibes only. I'm just with the crew.
Kingdom Hearts Remind. It's repetitive and useless. It's wonderful and touching. It's more padded than a drag queen. It's magical and has more payoff than the base game. It's the light and the darkness all mixed into one. It's exactly Kingdom Hearts. I'm going to try my best to keep the next two sections relatively short because I already have pretty in-depth reviews of both Remind and Melody of Memory already. And the long and short of the first one is I think Remind is the best entry into the Kingdom Hearts series. And you might say, that's a little bit much for what basically amounts to a half entry, not even a full title.
And they gave the child a cruel name, a name which means half-formed, remix-esque.
You might be tempted to call this the final mix of 3, like what other titles had in previous eras, but I've not mentioned any of their final mixes in this little breakdown because all of them are just the base game, with a little extra flair that, most importantly, do not change anything about their stories. But Remind is a DLC, not a remix. It did have some gameplay patches that affected the base game, but I almost deem the critical mode download to be the remix to KH3 and for Remind to be the midquel. And almost because of its condensed nature, Remind just has the highest highs of the series with not as many lower lows to drag it down. Actually, anything that I don't like about Remind, like Aqua stopping for the demon, now anti-Aqua tornado, Kairi getting taken by Xemnas, Kairi getting killed, are all holdovers from base 3. Anything that Remind itself introduced, I love. The one major complaint that I seem to have that I haven't already made in my full review, is that they updated the skybox in the Tower of Endings in base 3 as well. I just don't think it fits the mood of the lowest point in our hero's journey, villain's victory kind of moment that we're having here. It's just much too bright. It would be just fine if they relegated this skybox to exclusively be in Remind, but I just liked the old version so much better to fit the emotions of this scene. Give me the purple raining firebag. Also in this scene though is one of the many demonstrations of how Remind just gets the Kingdom Hearts series so well. It's Mickey talking directly to Sora's heart, calling back the way he did that in the first game. You may remember his truly inspired turn as voiceless text across the screen. I think he won a Globe and an Oscar that year. But Nomura, why are you lying to people? Why, out of all of the choices laid out in front of you, would you choose to lie? This voice does not have the same affect, does not have the same diction, does not have the same presence as Mickey, the neglectful Mouse, why would you choose to say that this voice is Mickey when it is so obviously Kingdom Hearts itself?
Rub-a-dub-dub the lamp and have your dearest wishes granted.
Category is payoff. Wishes granted, actually being rewarded for being a fan that cares about things. Oh. Bitch. What did you tell me? Did you have the gall to want Naminé to be a part of the series again? Wish granted. Did you want Roxas to have some autonomy and reclaiming his identity? Wish granted. Did you want to see all your faves work together because the series has been hammering into you since you were a child that that's important? Wish granted. Roxas and Ben interaction? Wish granted. Terra and Riku interaction? Wish granted. Mickey doing something important? Wish granted. Explorable Scala? Wish granted. Did you want a playable Kyrie bitch? Wish motherfucking granted!
Yes! Yes!
Data greeting is an absolutely inspired decision. I love being able to turn it on and play with my digital dolls whenever I'm having a bad day. And of course, you know, people wanted more difficult super bosses, yada yada. I think between KH2FM and Limit Cut, I've beaten 4 data battles total. It's just not for me, I don't care that much. But I love how all of the chapters in the Remind DLC got names. Like the Remind scenario, Limit Cut, Data Greeting, the secret episode. It keeps everything so well organized, like on the screen and also in my brain. Just joy. It just gives joy. Eventually, we're all gonna have to reap the Yozora So and wow, I just hope it doesn't suck. Kingdom Hearts, Melody of Memory. Yay! Once again, full review. Bap. And I still think it's a pretty good one too.
That was the last on-brand video I made. And oh my god, that was like a year and a half ago.
Life flies when you're in a depressive haze. Regardless of the fact that some of the story choices make me want to there are plenty of merits going for it as a really fun rhythm game. The music of the Cage series has always been its strongest suit with virtually no failures. That is unless of course you are my friends and have a vendetta against Takehiro Ishimoto.
Ishimoto is like the lettuce that people like take out of the sandwich or whatever.
And then Ishimoto is just like loud.
Of course, dual hearts.
Bitch, your time up.
At least it doesn't have any of the issues that plagued his DVD arrangement of Calling.
Not everything needs a choir.
Boring. The instrumentation sucks. The loop sucks. Everything about it sucks.
Bitch, your time up. Why is you not clocking that?
Ishimoto didn't pop off. He borrowed library music.
This composition hides a mountain of awfulness in its 4-minute and 22-second runtime.
And we'll check out the 2-bar A minor loop here.
Yeah, it's literally the same, like, 8 measures over and over again. It isn't because the loop sucks.
It's repetitive and the instrument balance is bad and the VST violin is the...
Ishimoto finally learned what motifs are for his own songs. Obviously, Dark Domination is Dark Domination.
I don't get it. My ears listen at a 3rd grade reading level. You know, the same reading level that most KH fans have anyway. Watch them for that. And a rhythm game is something that Shimomura in particular has been wanting to make for years, and this is such a natural fit. I really wish though that this game, out of any in the series, had something of a seasonal pass that could sell bundle after bundle of new songs to play. We could have been having like 6 packages since the release of the game. That might mean that we run out of songs to play, but you know what? I want every single one of them. And what? Not every single problem can be fixed with a okay? There's One small thing in particular I want to talk about is how this specific format made me reevaluate Let It Go, of all things.
There were gonna be some kids who didn't live through Frozen Mania. Can you imagine that?
If you had the capability of forgetting, this song was so pervasive for a very good chunk of time there. It was inescapable. The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside. Here is Idina Menzel singing it as a surprise guest to Taylor Swift's 1989 tour. This was in October of 2015. It was the oversaturated of the oversaturated. The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside. And it has taken until now, years later, after playing through it and Mom, that got me to realize, yeah, there was a reason for all of that, wasn't there? It's just something that reaches out to the core of people who live in repressive societies. And that's a kind of retrospective that 3 didn't make me have at all. That's very telling. Inside all of us, there's just a little Sappho and a French braid just dying to get out. If Remind is the best encapsulation of the series in the best of times, Melody of Memory is the truest encapsulation of the series as a whole. It has its pitfalls, it has its peaks, and it's truly mind-boggling decisions. All these visuals, and for what? What were these for? Nothing. I keep trying to put these screen grabs into that Renaissance painting AI, and it never comes out looking the way I want it to. Why would you do this for me, computer? This is before, like, AI made a boom, by the way. And now it's dead. Woohoo, we did it, you guys. Woo!
Oh, the times they are a-changing.
But mostly, I just can't believe we're at this point still. I don't know how someone could fail this fucking hard and this fucking consistently in a way that makes it more and more infuriating each new cock-a-doodie time! It's just not very fun. I am just not going to accept anything less than Riku failing to actually make it to Quadratum, and he has to come crawling back with his tail between his legs to ask Kairi for the help that he needs. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You're like, whoa, honey, let's put down the pen, huh? You don't make good choices when you have the pen. This is just not how you make stories that make even emotional sense or flow naturally. Oops. Oh Christ. So, while we have concluded the 3 era in actual installments, because this is an ever-progressing machine that needs to constantly sell the next game, it is a part of this current moment in time to ponder the possibilities of what comes next. And what comes next has been revealed to be Kingdom Hearts 4. Can I be vulnerable for a moment? Share a little bit of my inner feelings? I shared my reaction to this first trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4, and surprise, surprise for this section, I didn't like it. And the response to that video was overwhelmingly negative, you know? Not even showing you the comments. As you can see around it, my like to dislike ratio is usually in the 90s to 100th percentile. But this is just... wow. This is fun. And I'm not scared of sharing my opinion or something like that, because you all know I'm always right. You might be correct, but I'm always the most correct. So, I'm kind of just scared that as a woman on the internet, because I know you all hate those, I've just reached critical mass where interacting with you all isn't fun anymore. 2,000 subscribers. Lit!
So what are your feelings about the trailer that got people so riled up?
Well, the thing to keep in mind is that this is one trailer. The debut that this title is even a thing that exists. There is a lot that we don't know about KH4. There could be a whole protag Kyrie who goes through the Disney World's half of the story that we haven't seen yet. There might not. All I have to go on was what was shown in this one trailer. It's just that this one trailer showed virtually nothing that interests me. First and foremost, the setting. I play video games to escape the horrors of modern living. I don't want Kingdom Hearts to acknowledge capitalism. I have to suffer through that every goddamn day of my life. Once again, cityscapes are not interesting video game levels to traverse. Pick better locations. Try to pick one that's not outside of your window right now at this very second. Challenge yourselves just a bit.
聖者の世界ではあるけれど
What? It must be a slow day for life. This is just a horrible fucking part of the city to adapt. It's just gray. It's gray everywhere. Everything, all at once. I feel like Nomura is Miranda in The Devil Wears Prada, trying to explain to me how important the color gray is, and I'm Anne Hathaway.
It's not just gray, it's not charcoal, it's not gunmetal, it's actually slate.
Except at the end I say, but it's ugly. Sticking with looks, everyone went crazy about how simple Sora's new clothes are. And yeah, that's a demerit. These are bad. They look bad. I'm not the first person to compare him to John Tweewee 2, but at least Rindo had a look he was going for, because he had all those patterns. I don't think he looked good, because that motherfucker is marring all over town, but at least you could tell he was trying something. He's experimented. You miss every shot you don't shoot. This is Nomura not wanting to design any more clothes.
What's wrong, honey? You barely touched your fashion design. I thought you loved that.
Far be it to me to ever forsake the thing that gets me a career.
You just came off of a year-long hiatus after making 2 superhero videos.
His hair.
I can't look.
This is not Sora's hair. This is not Sora's hair. Sora Kingdom Hearts is supposed to have a halo of spikes. He is supposed to be anointed in the spikes. I don't even think that 3's hairstyle was spiky enough. So this?
I think 3 was too many. I got back on December 6th. I think 3 was too many. Trip
is unacceptable. Well, we know that he's in an ultra-realistic world, and he could only have this look for the parts of the game that are in Quadratum. I don't care if this look is only for a part of the game. It looks bad. I'm supposed to accept that it looks bad because it'll only be there for a short amount of time? Possibly?
No! I want them to make it again! I don't want it to be real!
Yes, realism, reality. It's so cool that KH is going meta.
No, it isn't! Kingdom Hearts is so successful because it is perhaps the single most sincere thing on the planet right now. KH as a concept would not have worked if it didn't take itself seriously. If you had to hear some fucking Disney character constantly make some MCU level quip about how weird and wacky of a situation we're in, whoa, is that Cloud? I guess this must be our Final Fantasy. Waka waka. Actually, that would make a pretty funny Muppets joke. Write that down. Write that down. But if you had to hear that from the very beginning, you would be so jaded right now. You would not like it because you like Kingdom Hearts. And Kingdom Hearts is sincere, so you must like sincerity. The concept of Disney meets Final Fantasy has only worked as well as it has because they said, okay, this is a little bit of a weird scenario, but the only way this doesn't gum up our own gears is if we go balls to the wall and revel in it. This is our world, and we love it. That magic gets sucked right out of KH if there's ever a reference to the Square Enix headquarters, meta jokes, Sora finds out he's a video game character. Ugh. Honestly and truly, they've already crossed the line with all the shit they did in Toy Box. Ads. The walls are just plastered in ads. Cause capitalism says you can't just have art for art's sake, you need it to turn a profit. And you wanna put that shit in my Kingdom Hearts? It's just terrible. It's awful to see the Square Enix logo across the bottom of Verum Rex. Sora meets a character that he knows is from a video game, and we have to call this shit unreality. The power of the pussy. And let's just get to the core of the problem here. We should not see, nor hear, nor perceive of Sora's particles for another 2 full installments. At least. Please remember that COVID hangs in the air for another 20 or so minutes after a person leaves a room. We've had germ theory for over a century now. You're actually best waiting like a full hour with open windows. Please stop being more stupid than Magellan. The fact of the matter is, Sora died. We had this hugely impactful ending, and it was a good fucking choice. It didn't feel that way at the time, sweaty, because it hurt. But that means it was real. Let me tell you. First time I saw this ending, I put my head between my legs and had a panic attack. The only thing keeping myself together was me telling myself, you're gonna miss the credit scenes, come on, pull together. But it was impactful. What is not impactful is if the first thing I see after Sora melting away into the ether that isn't half an hour of almost useless spin-off is Sora waking up alive and well in the middle of a therapy session. Oh, fucking spoiled brat gets to live in a $2,000 a month apartment and get mental health care. Where's the justice in that? He's not even real. But Nomura said that all numbered installments will have Sora as the main playable character. So here's the thing, you could just not call it KH4, or
what are you, a seal?
You could stop following this very stupid arbitrary rule you made for yourself. Like it does not matter in the slightest.
Why are you the way that you are?
What would have made the most business sense, because KH3 was the best-selling game in the entire series by like a long shot, is that no matter what game came out next, Nomura should have just called that Kingdom Hearts 4. Then he could fold all of these new fans into a very financially successful next chapter of the KH legacy. But he didn't do that, because he needed to do a DLC and Mom for some god fucking reason.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
So what does it matter? Really, what does it matter if the next full game is not KH4 or a Sora-led game? Because it would make his death mean something. It would raise the stakes. It would let the audience know, oh, this thing was for fucking real. And there are real consequences here that are entirely different from the other consequences that we've gotten before. If the consequences of Chain of Memories are more severe than the breaking of the repeated nature taboos in KH3, then you are making a big mistake. Big. Huge. Oh, I've got to fade away. The reoccurring bit. And I can't help but wonder if this isn't just because Sora is a male character. Think about it for a sec. If Sora was a female character and she did these things and made these sacrifices, giving her life for her friends and for the good of the universe, you would not see her until she was awoken from her sleep like death. I can back this up with an example. It might be a little bit far-fetched. It's from this little indie from the early aughts. Not many people know about it. It's Kingdom Hearts 1. Kairi loses her heart and effectively dies for the vast majority of the title. You do not see her make any significant appearances until the very end of the game. And even when she is awoken, she's still quickly tossed right back to the side. There were plans to make Kairi playable at this point, and I still had to wait 18 more fucking years for it to happen! I think the problem here is that a lot of male characters have a bad case of terminally active writing. A lot of the times you'll find criticisms of the writing of female characters in particular, including from myself already, saying that they were written passively, meaning they were not written in a way where it feels like they are making decisions, they are taking actions. Instead, things are happening to them. And this is bad writing because, to an audience, it makes it that much harder to connect with a supposedly autonomous human being. Unless you have a perpetual victim complex. It's me, hi. And as we've seen before, when the writing gets a little lazy, this is a particular crutch that the KH writers tend to lean on. People connect more with stories of beings that they can see themselves as, and human empathy will do a lot of work for you here. But you have to not write props. And it is so very disparaging to see every single male writer across any kind of medium tell you directly that they do not see women as real human beings, just possessions in the periphery of their stories. Male writers seem capable of only connecting with male characters. And it seems to be kind of because of this that we're not getting what the next chunk of KH stories should be. Tales of everyone else trying to get Sora back. In my mind, this is where all the drama is. This is where we see what it's like for Roxas, Naminé, and Xion to be recompleted, to be given a second and real shot at life, to see the people you come from, the people you have spent your entire short life dreaming about, obsessing over, who are the reason for all of your hardships, to see those people actually care about you and make a sacrifice for you to actually live. And then to see them fucking kick it. What does that do to you? What does that do to you to see your heroes die? What about the Wayfinder trio, who, on the lesser end of repercussions, have essentially just time traveled a decade? These early 2010s people still think that a meme is like socially awkward penguin. How the fuck are we supposed to communicate with them? What did going back to the realm of darkness do to Aqua? And god damn it, I want to see Keyblade armor more! How are Axel and Isa adjusting to life now? They have each other again, they have hearts again, and they've now adopted 6 teenagers, and they all have problems. What's a couple millennial divorcee fiancés to do? We finally get to see the Mickey trio materialize, and they don't even have their boy. What are they supposed to do with that?
My son, help me, please!
I even want to know what Ansem TW is doing. How is his lab holding up? Is he being sued? How are the apprentices evolving from their past? And what the fuck is up with the ancient Keyblade wielders? This is where the prompts are. This is where we see how every individual reacts to the recent blockbuster events that have been happening in their universe, how each and every person feels about their new circumstances, how they all go about finding Sora, and how they might butt heads personally, but also how they might fundamentally disagree with somebody else's methods. This is major, major drama potential, and Nomura was fucking blindsided in an interview that we cared! And it is not lost on me that Nomura took one look at this vast swath of his characters that just so happens to have all but one of his female characters that would probably be headed by Kairi herself, and he said, "Nope. This is much more interesting because I cannot fathom of an experience outside of my own male one." And the thing is, like, what's gonna go on here? We're gonna watch Sora save himself from death? How is that supposed to be interesting? And this is what I mean with male characters being terminally active. It's what got Sora killed in the first place. But it also has the potential to leave KH4 itself dead in the water. And that would absolutely suck because there's such a better story right over here that would then be so much wasted potential. And as a Kairi stan, I do not need any more of that. Uh-huh. Looks like somebody's having a real big tantrum now. Strelitzia.
Everybody talks too much.
It started with a whisper.
Well, surely you can't have any complaints about Strelitzia. This is the first time we've even rendered her in 3D. You couldn't possibly. If I could give any notes to the developers, it would be a little less sex dolly in the face. If you can make her look a little bit less like a sex doll, that'd be great. Can I be vulnerable for a sec? Can I be a little crazy? I have no record of me thinking this, but I do remember very close to after completing 3, the intrusive thought of, wherever Sora is now, if they ever put him next to another KH original female character, Kairi's dead. Nomura does not care about your ships. I understand this. He spits in my face every time I try to bring it up to him. And he also doesn't need to turn to any audience perception of Kairi because he hates her enough for all of us. That means that you can stop now. He's got it covered. But if there ever actually is a second viable Sora ship, I don't think I could weather the storm. She might really get drowned this time. Do you like the ship imagery? I'm working real hard with this wordplay. It's bad enough that her tenuous at best involvement in the canon story is solely reliant on her relationship with Sora, and you all want to take even that. And it happened instantly. You all were doing it not 45 minutes post-trailer. I think the thing that bothers me the most is when people don't have any taste. Does anybody know what that's about? Why can't you all just pick the right ships? It's not that hard. There are some people out there who want to make Sora Kingdom Hearts a harem protagonist. The whole fucking point of him is that, like, he's a globe-trotting kind of guy, and he goes, well, no, it's still just only one gal. Listen, I do not have a problem pitting women, fictional or otherwise, against each other. I do not have that problem. But you all do. And that's what scares me, because I know who's winning. And I find it quite nefarious that the girl that's more soft-spoken, more domestic, more shy, that could, regardless of all of her other quirks that I hope that I pray to God or more of her characterization, slip into a waifu role, would be the one that wins. And it would be because of the straights. Ew. I think it's the feet. It's the bare feet and the bobular eyes. I don't trust it. They got something going on. As if we don't have enough of these annoying ass men going, well, I guess I'll have to pick Aqua, cause she's the only one of age. How about we try to not consume every single piece of goddamn media through the lens of what you want to fuck? Did you know that nobody fucking cares? I don't care about what you want to do in the privacy of your own bedroom, but you don't have to go shoving your sexuality in everybody's faces, especially towards one of the single most sexless properties in all of existence. You fucking kidding me? You goddamn losers!
So you really did go a little crazy there, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yep, yes I did.
Did you maybe want to rein this into something resembling sense?
Actually, I think I want to drop it entirely.
That's valid. Did you maybe want to tell me anything else?
I'm gonna kill you for disrespecting Kyrie?
Something new?
Oh.
Maybe something positive about the trailer.
Come on.
All right. I guess I have a couple of things.
There, you see? We're making progress.
Boo, you whore.
Fine. You win. Dummy, who's gonna let me go say what?
Did you say something?
Never mind.
Even though most of the visuals seem completely uninteresting to me personally, for my personal taste and my personality, I do think this dark side creature looks like, as the scientific community might say, like he shreds the sick gnar. I think this evolution of the air step mechanic with the chain of the keyblade is really cool, if a bit slow, but that's probably for either the presentation of the trailer or the beginning playable cinematic of the game. And it also calls back to as far as the concepts for the very beginning of the series where keyblades were wielded by their keychains. This sliding down a hallway that's been turned on its side is something that I feel like I've seen a lot of before, but that keeps happening probably because it, as experts claim, shreds the sick gnar. And this move that looks to maybe incorporate keyblade transformations into base combat, let's all say it together, is a little bit on the cool side. I would really love it if KH4 could shred the sick gnar like a professional, but as the series has proven, you kind of have to take the stuff that works for you and speed run through the rest. It's not a very reliable series in that sense, and now that it seems to be introducing concepts that seem to be the antithesis to its central thesis, what I'm really scared about is that it won't be for me anymore. And as a person that has made Kingdom Hearts a core part of my character for most of my existence on the planet, that could be foundation shattering. I made a whole YouTube channel for it, for Christ's sake. What more do you want from me? So if I could put my wishes out there into the universe so that it may possibly hear me, please, Kingdom Hearts 4, don't suck. And fix your logo, it looks like shit.
No drama, no baby mamas, keep it cute.
Conclusion.
So we've now been through the entirety of the 3 era with some parting thoughts thrown in for good measure, and now it's time to distill all of those ramblings into some easily digestible good or bad. Of course, everything is a lot more complicated and nuanced to ever be all one thing. We've just been over all of it, because this era has the highest highs and also the lowest lows of the series. Oh.
Didn't think I could fit one more layer in there, did you? I am nothing if not thorough. Who do you think I am? And I think, unfortunately, in this case, the lows beat out the highs, both in quantity and intensity. Intensity, how much I hate them. Boom! You can't see that I'm dunking on you. I know it's a layup. But you can correct me if it means you're gonna talk to me. And for that reason, I'm now going to rename the 3 era the poorly paid off era. Boo. Oh, there we go. Come on, Peacock. Cindy Lou Who, bitch? Get it, Cindy Lou Who? But Cindy Lou Who, bitch? Like who, bitch? Like who? It is absolutely unforgivable that the Keyblade War, the thing that we've been building towards since the beginning, was not given the care that it needed. You cannot fumble the conclusion to your saga this hard if you actually tried. There needed to be effort, there needed to be planning, and it never materialized. It's very sad that all of the goodwill of the past eras and the buildup of 0.2 and most of 3 and what little penance we got from Remind and parts of Melmem wasn't enough to save some really bad decisions. But you should not have put yourself in those positions to begin with. I think one of the most draining vices Nomura has is putting things off. Girl, same. I've taken like over a year to do this fucking video. Oh god, I wanna die. This will pay off in the next game. And I'm gonna leave you with more questions than answers because it'll be so cool when I get to them. Oh shit, I have to answer them now for realsies. And this is just not how you do things. Cause those answers then end up rushed, not thought out, and lazy. And I'm now saying the same thing with each new sentence. Maybe when we look back at this last era of KH, we'll find that its faults have been in service of the grander Master of Masters arc that Nomura, I guess, wants to tell much more now. Maybe he got an idea somewhere in the middle that needed to put the pieces in place like this. But that doesn't mean I can't be upset with how the pieces fell. And when it comes to the future, geez, I just don't know what you will see in it. Like I've seen other people also echo this thought of, oh, sincerity is the good thing about the Kingdom Hearts series. But also you're looking at this scenario that looks like it's going to be the antithesis of sincerity, of meta and meta only. And yet somehow it's still good? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I seem to be like one of the only KH4 detractors that I know, and that is so shocking to me because it's not like, oh, I don't particularly care for a couple of aspects of the KH4 trailer. No, it was every single decision that was shown gave me an immediate and adverse reaction. And if I have such strong feelings about it, I don't know how nobody else seems to be on the same page. I guess I just feel lonely. I feel lonely. It's not even a question of, oh, list all the things that you don't like. It's a question of, well, what is there to like? I don't understand. That's right, kids. The reason why we haven't been getting anything new for like a year and a half is because of me. I've been manifesting no new news because I don't want to see any more of a bad concept. What do you guys like about it? Anyway, I keep the faith that things can be good. I do always want to give everything the chance to be good. So I'll be there to witness it. But it would be really great if this was all just a bait and switch for a Kyrie game. In any case, I'm very eager to call the next era of KH the first of the Lost Master arc not a disappointment.